thank you. It's nice to be with you. To let you know how important it is for us to be here with you all, we risked our life getting here. There were some big boy storms going on out there, and we flew around them and over them, and I think through them a couple times. But nevertheless, we're really pleased to be here. I have a little cheat sheet here because I want to make sure I introduce some people that I want you to help me in both recognizing and thanking. First of all, the individual from our department who is responsible for coordinating all this with Steve and his staff is Mary Walker. Mary, where are you? Mary in the back. Thank you, Mary. Give Mary a round of applause. We just announced last week that we've got a new leader of our development team at Michigan Athletics, and we're really proud, and she was able to jump on board. Although there were moments during the flight she's wondering why she did that. Jump on board and join us, Chrissy Raywalk. Chrissy, please come by and say hi. Hopefully you will all get to know Chrissy well, and she's going to do a great job leading that activity, that very important activity for Michigan Athletics. And then I want to take this unusual opportunity to introduce the individual who schedules me, works endless hours, and who's along to help coordinate this rather busy trip over the next couple of days, Annette Howe. Annette, please say hi. Come on, say hi. Her amazing blue splendor. We really like the question and answer period of this because it's not like there's much going on in college athletics nowadays. It's a pretty boring time. But before we get into Q&A, I'll come back and kind of coordinate that. I want to introduce to you some of the coaches who are here. And first of all, we have our newest coach. You know, a BCS school has not announced the addition of men's lacrosse in 31 years until 2 weeks ago. And the fact that we are a healthy, thriving, growing athletic department that can look at the youth market and where growth is and where the sports of the future are in terms of growth and opportunity, we announced a couple of weeks ago that we're going to be adding our 28th and 29th sports at the University of Michigan, men's and women's lacrosse. One of the reasons we're so well positioned to do this is that our men's lacrosse club team has performed at such an incredible level. They won 3 national championships in a row at the club level, numerous conference championships in a row. We've competed against Division I schools very successfully as a club team, and they will actually be wearing the maize and blue and competing on behalf of Michigan at the varsity level starting this next season, 2011-2012 season. And they will be led by the same individual who achieved such great success in our club program, John Paul and JP. Please say hello to everybody. JP's a busy guy. We're entering a new conference. He's busy on the recruiting trail. We got a whole new world of getting things scheduled for this new season. But he took time out to kind of join us for this, and I think it's a great opportunity for some of you to get to know JP, and please make sure to come up and introduce yourself to him and hear a lot about what's going on with our lacrosse program. We've got 3 of our coaches who are going to be spending some time with you, kind of giving you a sense for their programs, and I'll introduce each one of them individually. First up, it's in my first year as athletic director of the University of Michigan, it was really fun to go to the Frozen Four.
Yeah!
Student athletes come to the University of Michigan to compete for championships and play at the highest level. And Red had an incredible team this year of young guys who just played so hard, represented us so well, and it was just really a thrill to be playing for the national championship. We came up a little bit short in overtime, but it was just another incredible year by a legendary coach that has done so much for Michigan hockey over so many years. Please help me greet and appreciate the head hockey coach at the University of Michigan, Red Berenson.
Thank you. I can tell you that
certainly not the youngest hockey coach. You probably noticed that, but I appreciate being indoors. The last time we met, remember 2 years ago, we were on the roof?
Yeah, it's hot.
And I didn't mind the heights, and I loved the company. And if you remember the occasion, it was the night before the Capitals and the Penguins played in the 7th game in Washington. And there was a huge hockey fever around this group that night. And now that times change, obviously. This year, the hockey fever was really pinpointed at Michigan, not so much on our team, but on the Big Chill. And right from the start of the season, you could tell the interest in the Big Chill, and then the ticket sales were unbelievable. And as the event came closer, the players and the fans and the community all embraced this event. And I can tell you, in my many years of hockey, too many years maybe, I've never been a part of such a grand hockey extravaganza as the Big Chill. And I really appreciate our athletic director and his staff and all the people at Michigan that put the hard work in, but the fans came out of the woodwork on a perfect hockey day to watch Michigan hammer Michigan State. The only other thing I'll tell you is that as much as the coaches get credit when a team does well, our team did well this year because of our third goalie, who I recruited to never play at Michigan. I told him he'd never play. He agreed that he would never play, but he would take the job as our practice goalie and work hard and be a great team member and a solid student. And sure enough, 2 years later, injuries, changes, Sean Hunwick becomes our starting goalie, and look what he's done. And I can't tell you enough about a kid like that really didn't have the scholarship, he didn't have the recruiting, wasn't drafted, was not a named player, but everybody knows his name now. And as we speak, he just left today for Ecuador, and he's part of building a school. All these students from across the country have all donated their time, and they're going to build a school in Ecuador. So if he makes it back, you'll see him again in the nets for Michigan, along with our recruited freshman goalie, John Gibson. So Gibson stands about 6'6", and Hunwick is about 5'4". So you'll know who's in the net. Thank you very much for coming out.
Okay, next up, did you enjoy going to the NCAA tournament in men's basketball? Well, one of my jobs is to evaluate coaches, and I can tell you that when you look at how young our team was, how tough of a schedule that our team played, the fact that we went into a little bit of a dip there early in the season, and I got a few emails, maybe from a few of you, we weren't happy. But you know, instead of whining and complaining, what our coaches did is they kept coaching, and they kept encouraging our players. And on a snowy night, we traveled to East Lansing and kicked their ass. And it started a momentum, and it started an energy, and these young players started to believe. And I'll tell you what, there's all kinds of Coach of the Year awards that go out all over the country in conferences and national, and I don't get to vote in any of them, sadly. They're all voted on by other people, but if I did get a vote, my vote would be John Beeline as the Coach of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, the men's basketball coach, John Beeline.
Back here again. It is a wonderful. I remember coming here 2 years ago, and it is outstanding how many great alums we have. Actually, I came here 4 years ago, stood up on the bar at some place, I don't know where it was, before Georgetown drilled us by like 45 points, and said, you know, we're on our way back. You know, but we really felt good about this team coming in. We had felt really good after 2 years that we ended up breaking that 11-year run of not going to the NCAA tournament. Had some some intangibles maybe missing from the following year, but we really felt good about this team. We felt that they were going to get better and better, and that with a lot of hard work, we could just hang in there long enough to maybe have a shot. I don't think there was anybody on our staff or anybody on that team thought we'd be one shot away from the Sweet 16 or beating the Dukies. But it just sort of came together, as Dave mentioned. We had got off to a great start, 10-2. Everything felt good, and then when you hit the Big Ten, where it was probably one of its best, 7 teams in the NCAA tournament, very veterans everywhere, we had a tough schedule. And our kids were just getting better. Didn't really bother me that much that we started out, we were 1-6 in the Big Ten. It bothered me we were 1-6, but it was Wisconsin, it was Ohio State. We were playing some very, very good teams up there. We threw in Kansas just to soften up the schedule a little bit. And then we went on the road. We lost Indiana Northwestern. Well, those on the road for a young team, those are tough games. But it did bother me when we lost to Minnesota. We said, okay, that part of the schedule's over. Now we can get ourselves going. And Minnesota just beat us pretty good at home. But our kids band together at that point. Dave and the whole administration, our whole coaching staff said, let's just keep going. Just keep going. We're closer than people think. And as he said, the game in East Lansing was huge, and just kept following up after that. If you got to coach our guys every day like we do, you'd say, this is fun. And it is. We really have a very low maintenance team. 2.8 grade point average in school. Guys that are just good, fine young men that want to be coached every day. And we lost one of them, Darius Morris, to the pros. There's a consensus of opinion. He's going to go in the first round, and nobody will be rooting harder for him than us, for him to be drafted in the first round.